Hello, and welcome to Swinging Strategies for Jazz Ensemble Guitarists. This is going to be a brief introduction to the Freddie Green style, which I outline in more detail in my newly published book, Playing Guitar in a Jazz Ensemble by Kendor Music. We're going to focus on Freddie Green, who lived from 1911 to 1987 and played with the Count Basie Orchestra for almost 50 years while Count Basie was alive, but also even after Count Basie passed away. He was considered Mr. Time, the foundation of the very famous swinging Count Basie rhythm section. The Freddie Green style, which is named after him, is a simplified four-to-the-bar style that really can lock in with a walking bass and the drum set, the cymbals and the hi-hat, and can really allow the piano player to fill and comp. Jazz ensembles are usually the only place that a guitarist can find a playing opportunity in high school. But when they join, often they find many aspects challenging. First, you have to understand that most guitarists do not read music. The joke of how do you get a guitarist to stop playing? You put music in front of them is unfortunately true in many cases. And it's one of my life's goals is to make guitarists better at reading music. Now, most of them don't read standard notation. They might read tablature and chord charts, which I'm going to explain a little later. They might play by ear. They may have had some private lessons or not, but again, most of them have not had any kind of ensemble experience as any of the trumpet players, saxophones, trombones would have had throughout band before they joined jazz band. So especially the jazz chords on a guitar part in a jazz ensemble are very challenging. And a lot of times the band director has not been trained in how to help these students also. So one plus of the Freddie Green method is it simplifies all the chords down to seventh chords, making it easier to play, to sight read. So, for example, if you have any of the extensions like a 9, 11, 13, like B flat 9, B flat 11, B flat 13, you would play just B flat 7. And what we do in a Freddie Green style is we actually just play the root, the third, and the seventh of the seventh chord. So we even take the fifth out. So we're only dealing with 3 notes of the seventh chord. Now, if you see any kind of altered chord, like a B flat 7 flat 9, or B flat 7 sharp 9, or B flat 7 flat 5, or sharp 11, you simplify it down to just B flat 7. Now, the chord that confused me the most when I was in high school was the augmented chord, when they write B flat plus 7. I didn't know what that chord meant for years. And unfortunately, there's lots of different ways that chords are written in charts. So there's no standard way that all publishers write their chords all the way. All the composers don't write the same way. All the arrangers don't write all the chords the same way. I wish there was one way, but you have to learn a lot of different things to be able to read music. But this Freddie Green style simplifies things by being able to ignore the extensions and alterations and just go down to the root, third, and seventh. Now, as I stated before, a lot of students will have just read tablature, which is on the right side of this slide, which is when they just put the 6 strings across horizontally with the 6th string on the bottom, and they put a number on one of the strings when they want you to play that fret. Unfortunately, when they're reading this, they're not thinking about what note they're playing. They're usually not thinking of rhythm, because there's usually not any rhythm. So it's a very inadequate way of reading music. So hopefully encourage your students to read standard notation as soon as possible. But my book does have tablature on a lot of the examples, so a student could easily play some of the examples. The other way a student probably has learned some chords is by guitar chord charts, fretboard charts, which is on the left of this slide, which you have the 6th string, which is the largest string, on the left side going down, and on the right side, the 1st string, which is the smallest one. And then horizontally, you have the frets. And often there are some numbers next to the fretboard showing you what fret that they're at when they're playing a chord. So now a quick introduction to Freddie Green chords. So what you have students do is you have them memorize all the roots on the 6th string and the 5th string. And we're just going to talk about 2 shapes, one on the 6th string, one on the 5th string, both dominant 7th chords. So when we play these Freddie Green chords on the 6th string, we play the root on the 6th string, the 7th on the 4th string, and the 3rd on the 3rd string. So in this B flat 7 chord, we're playing B flat at the 6th fret on the 6th string, the 7th of the chord, which is the A flat, on the 4th string, 6th fret, and then the D on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. Now the chords that have the roots on the 5th string are root, 3rd, and 7th. So in this case, E flat 7, E flat is on the 6th fret of the 5th string, G is on the 5th fret of the 4th string, and that's the 3rd of the chord, and then the 7th of the chord, the D flat, is played on the 6th fret of the 3rd string. As far as equipment goes, you always try to go for as an acoustic guitar quality as you can get. Freddie Green played basically an archtop acoustic guitar. So the closest thing in today's world that you could get that would really do it would be a full hollow body electric guitar, which is essentially almost like a acoustic guitar with pickups in it. You can also get a semi-hollow body. Can work. This is a 335, so it's not as thick, but it can also work. Now, I usually put flat wound strings on my guitar. I happen to like that. I usually use a very thick pick. I use Jim Dunlop jazz picks. And as far as amps go, I have always tried to go smaller and smaller. And I put some suggestions up there, but I am not an endorser of Henriksen, but it's just I own a couple of his amps already and am a huge fan of Henriksen's jazz amps. And this is actually a bigger one than you can get. The smallest one is 12 pounds and 120 watts. And there's also one that's a little over 13 pounds. And I know band directors will really appreciate having a lightweight guitar amp. So I would check out Henriksen's Blue and Bud amps. Highly recommended. So now let's talk about the Freddie Green style. Specifically, some of the techniques that you would do to play it. So again, you want to go for an acoustic guitar quality. So that means the guitar amp shouldn't be cranked up. I generally put it on the neck pickup, and I put it as soft as possible. You kind of want to be more felt than heard in the Freddie Green style. We're going to use a B flat 7 chord that I explained on the last slide. So I've got the B flat on the 6th string, the A flat on the 4th string, and the D on the 3rd string. I'm muting the 5th string with my first finger right now. Okay. Now, Freddie Green generally only played 2 or sometimes 1 note. So actually you want to try to target the 3rds and the 7ths instead of the root. Now the root can be very advantageous to learn for the students, because once they learn the root and they learn a shape, so like this is a B flat 7, if I go up a fret it's a B7, if I go up a fret it's a C7 with the same shape, C sharp 7, D7. So that's where it can really come in handy. So you play 4 strums to the bar, so 4 quarter notes. You kind of bounce your fingers, but don't really lift them off the strings. And you accent beats 2 and 4, so you have a little more snap of the wrist in beats 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now let's apply this to a sample jazz ensemble guitar part. So here I have basically 2 times through a blues, 12-bar blues form, as a guitarist might see it on a guitar chart. And essentially, with the alterations, like the first chord, like B flat 7, sharp 11, and the extensions, E flat 13, B flat 9, and there's the augmented chord on the end of the second line, the F augmented 7th, so F7 basically sharp 9 with a sharp 5, the last chord on the second line. There's 16 chords going on. And now we can reduce that to 8 chords. So here are essentially the 8 chords. I know there's 9 there, but actually E diminished 7 is there twice, just with 2 different fingerings. I have the fingerings listed below the guitar chart with your fingering hand. You do not count the thumb. So your index is the first finger, your middle is the second finger, your ring is the third finger, and your pinky is your 4th finger on your fretting hand. I also have the notes of the chords listed down there below. But we can reduce this to basically 8 chords for the whole thing. So now let's play it. So now what I have is on the top staff is what the guitar part said. The second treble clef, the second one, is the Freddie Green reduction, reducing everything to just a 7th chord. And then the bottom is the tablature. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Listen to Freddie Green. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it helpful, this brief introduction to Freddie Green style. Please check out my new book, Playing Guitar in a Jazz Ensemble by Kendor Music. I think it can be a great resource for band directors and students. And feel free to contact me with any questions. Thanks.